Hello, and welcome to Augmented Teachings. My name is Brandy, and I'm really so excited about this episode today. This is our author spotlight, and I'm here with my co-host, co-founder, and author of God is Greater Than Religion, the book that was just published through Balboa Press Publishing, Todd Michael Jackson.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you.
So welcome to your own show.
Yeah,
this is our author spotlight. Thank you so much for humoring me. I am Todd's biggest fan. And I actually had a hand in writing, or not in writing, but I had a hand in the process of, this book.
Yes, you definitely helped me with editing and suggestions for how I should arrange it. Right?
Exactly.
Definitely.
And, I've been kind of the project manager,
right,
working with, the publishing company and you, and I'm kind of like the liaison between the author and the publishing company. And this has been such a labor of love, and it is my honor, joy, and pleasure to have this spotlight with you.
Well, thank you
today,
very much,
Todd.
Yeah, it was kind of impromptu because I have no idea what you'll be asking me. It was like, I just wanted to sit you down and talk about the book. I'm like, okay, I'll just show up. I'll put my shirt on. Let's go.
Yeah, exactly.
Right,
and it's great that we have full-time access to our studio.
Yes, we do.
And thank you so much to our producer, Nick. He is our producer and our editor and in a lot of ways our director, and really, really puts on a great show. So thank you so much, Nicholas.
Thank you.
And let's get to it. So God is Greater Than Religion.
Yes.
This is a book about moving from faith into knowing and understanding. And first I want to talk a little bit about your journey to how you got to this understanding that you have now.
Yeah, I've told this story before. I'm going to tell it again, hopefully with more information. And really what it comes down to is I had a spiritual awakening, and I realized there was a God. God had touched me, and I was like, oh my God, God is real. I kind of believed in God, but I was not going down the way of religion, because I saw problems with it. But once I realized God was real, I'm like, oh my gosh. And the energy that I felt at that moment when I was awakened, I'm like, all right, well, I'm going to get myself some dress pants and a nice shirt. I'm going to start going to church because God's real. So I started doing that. And then I realized that all the things that I kind of had thought church might be, it was. And
like the hypocrisies. And
the hypocrisies, the drama, the judgments. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is exactly what I thought it was going to be. I tried to put on a smile and just like, no, it's not going to be this way. It's going to be great. And it just was not.
So you really tried to push through because you thought, okay, I've had this connection with God. I've had this spiritual awakening. I know that there's this something bigger than me, and I want to go and learn more and be with like-minded people. So you thought. So you went to a traditional religious church.
Yes, I did.
And you had the opposite of experience of what you were hoping to get, right?
That energy that I felt that moment when I had that awakening was not at that church.
You thought you were going to walk into a building and feel that again.
I feel something close to. Maybe.
Okay.
Even something in that direction.
Right.
But I felt the opposite. And then every time I went to a different religious church, Christian or evangelical Christian, I'm like, it's just getting worse and worse. So I'm like, I literally cried out to God and said, and I remember being in my Nissan truck and just punching the roof, pissed because I wanted to know how things worked. What I was getting at church was not applying to my life. It was not giving me the answers that I wanted. So I literally was screaming to God, give me the answers I'm looking for. I want to know the nuts and bolts of how things work. Not could be this or could be that.
Right.
Not some obscure passage somewhere. I want to know the nuts and bolts.
It's like you went to church looking for answers and you left almost more confused and with those lower negative vibrations, right? Of anger and frustration. Like you just want that connection. And there's nothing that you could find at that moment.
Right, right. And then after that moment, I calmed myself down, arrived home, continued my day. 3 days later, I ran into a friend I hadn't seen in 20 years from high school. And we were sat there at a Mexican restaurant. I met at a Mexican restaurant. We had a margarita. And he told me, hey, Todd, you should check out this past life review. I mean, not this past life, this near-death experience.
Oh, yeah.
And they talk about past life reviews and all this stuff. And I was like, wow, I'm going to go check that out. So I checked it out. I'm like, thank you, God. These are the answers I was looking for. And then I started reading more. and then interviewing people, and then it just started snowballing. The amount of information I was getting made me want more information.
And so the information that you were getting was the testimonials of people who have momentarily died on this side of the veil in their bodies.
Right.
They had a near-death experience, and then they come back and they share their testimonials and their experiences, the questions that they asked, the things that they felt and experienced, and then you compiled so many stories, and your research and your seeking, right?
Right.
I mean, it's been ongoing, but this started about 12 years ago.
It did. And not all NDEs, near-death experiences, are the same. Some, they see a white light, and then that's it. I'm like, okay, well, there's not much to use there.
Okay.
Or they just floated around the room and saw their body.
Right.
There's not much to use there. I'm looking like level 3.
Yeah, those are like level 1.
Yeah, those level 1s and 2s. I want level 3s and 4s where people actually went to their past life review. People actually were in heaven for many, many, many years, even though it was only a few minutes here.
Right, because time on the other side, where people call it heaven or the other side of the veil, or when we're out of these bodies, it's not the same as time over here.
No, it's circular over there, and it's linear here. So we can't go forward and backward here, but over there you can. So over there, one gentleman died for 15 minutes, and he was in heaven for 400 years. That's what it felt like to him. So time was very different. And when I started realizing that these testimonials exist and they're matching, it doesn't matter what country they're from, or what ethnicity or religion or
age, gender,
it doesn't matter.
Exactly.
They were all lining up in major ways. Sometimes things are slightly different here and there, but the overall layout was the same. You go to your past life review, you see how well you did, and you come back again until you fix that problem.
Right, with your soul, because it's more about the journey of the soul development rather than the human experience. Right.
And most souls don't come to this 3D reality. Most do not. But the ones that do choose to come here are here for the long haul. They're here to learn unconditional love for everyone. And they'll keep coming back until they do, because that was their goal to set the first incarnation. That was their goal, and it's their goal every incarnation after that.
It's to continue.
It doesn't change. That's our job. Everything. Oh, my job is a trash man. My job is no. Your job is to learn unconditional love. The backdrop is your trash man. The backdrop is your police officer.
That's the avenue at which you get to learn unconditional love.
Right.
Those are the circumstances. Those are the conditions that we find ourselves in.
Right.
But when we realize that we have a part in co-creating those experiences, then we kind of get to direct our life a little bit different. But anyway, I want to get back to you, and I want to get back to the book. So you started researching these NDEs and all of their testimonials, and you started to recognize the common themes, and you started to get those answers for yourself.
Right.
And then I remember in some of our earlier conversations in our podcast, because we've been doing this for a couple years, and so I know the answers to a lot of these questions, but some of them I don't. And I remember you were talking about in the beginning, people you would send people on these journeys too, like, hey, go to these websites and go listen to these stories and here, read these books and talk to these people and all of these things. You can have the same information and understanding, and then people will come back to you and they're like, I don't want to do all the work. Right. I just want you to tell me
what the answer is.
You condense it down.
Right. And after I get told that a couple times and a light bulb goes off, I'm like, all right, you know what? Maybe I should have a show or write a book or something. I did both.
Something to share. Right.
So I'm like, I have all this information, and I can just spit it out, like a Google search that quickly, and people are like, oh, okay, that makes sense, thank you, and then go on their way. Yeah. And people want answers now. They don't want to do 6 months, year, 2 years of research just to get to the basis of what I have to offer.
And the thing is, the whole world is full of stories, right? Our whole consciousness, all of our souls, we all have our own stories and our own journeys. And sometimes, yes, we love to hear those stories and those testimonials, but it takes a lot of work to go through and to listen and to gain those golden nuggets. Because when we share our stories, we get into it and we talk about all the emotions and than the fluff.
Right.
And, no offense to that, because those are all, that's how we connect to each other when we share those stories. And it's beautiful to do that, but we don't always have that time. And so I really want to give praise to you because your consciousness and your brain and the way that you think and feel, and through your own connection and your own awakening, you know that this information that you now had from these NDE testimonials, you know that it was true because of your own innate wisdom and understanding that your soul carried through.
Right.
And I want to just segue just a little bit to my side of it. When I first met you and you had asked me to be your co-host on your show here, Augmented Teachings, and you would share with me the information in this, a lot of it contained in this book. I mean, but you have such an unlimited really resources of information and knowledge. But anyway, you would share these stories and these information, and it would confirm for me what I knew innately on a soul level, and also what I've experienced through my meditations when I have crossed over to the other side of the veil, or I have visited the Akashic records and the Akashic fields. And a lot of that could be considered as like woo-woo talk, right? Like, oh, you meditated and you astral projected and you came outside of your body. Okay, cool. Or, oh, you went into a very, very deep hypnosis meditation. You went deep into your subconscious mind. You transcended your limited conscious mind, and now you're back into the oneness and the oneness of God.
Right.
But then some people say, no, that's, you can't do that. But I had those experiences, and I'll tell you, some of it I kind of felt, was that real? How do I know what I know? How have I experienced what I've experienced, but I didn't die and went over there? And then when you confirmed that for me, it was just... It was profound for me because it made my belief system and my innate wisdom valid. So I want to say thank you so much for having that drive to want to share your information.
And the cool thing is like, just like I said before, these people did not know all the NDE testimonials that I researched. They didn't know each other.
Right.
Different countries, different decades, different religions, right? But they all had the same theme. You and I started in the same spot. I got my information from testimonials of NDEs, and you got yours from actual spiritual
experience
practices.
Yeah.
So my way is hard. Your way is harder. And people want to do it even less than my way.
Yeah.
And that's the thing is people are like, can I just read I made a book.
Yeah.
I made a book. It explains everything, nuts and bolts. And you don't have to go through what I went through or you went through.
Right.
And once you understand it, it brings down your judgments, your anger.
Yeah.
And you realize things aren't really that bad. Right now, they may seem a little bad, but in the long run, you're here to take care of your own development and work through all the challenges that are presented before you. Really the goal is to learn to treat others the way you want to be treated. And
because we realize that we are all one, and so that's that unity consciousness, because we realize what we do to another, we're really doing to ourselves, and we're doing to God, we're doing to source, we're doing to the divine essence that we are all one of, right?
Right. Yeah. So every experience, every single one of them goes back to God, goes back to source, however you want to look at it. Religious people want to talk about God, spiritual people want to talk about source, either one, they're interchangeable. Every experience goes back to him. So if you're a jerk to somebody, that experience goes to God.
You can't escape it.
If you want to show love and laughter to somebody, that experience goes to God. What do you want to give God? That's what you give to us. People are like, well, God's up there. God's not inside. I understand that. I'll break it down. We're emissaries for God. We'll put it that way so your brain can wrap around it. We're emissaries. We're little tiny pieces of God. And all those experiences, God is the creator. We are the experiencer. All those little pieces eventually go right back to the whole again. It's not like you got hell or hell and heaven, right? You don't have that. We are the experiencer. God does not reject your experiences because you chose a religion that was not compatible to what other people are saying. It doesn't work that way at all. 0%.
And that's really kind of what this book is about. God is greater than religion. And so I want to just not to cut you off, but I really want to share the table of contents.
No, please do.
So just to kind of give you a little bit about what is in this book, because there are so many golden nuggets, as many of us like to say. There's really the whole thing is. So the contents, we've got 19 chapters.
Yes.
And on all various topics and subjects. And then we also have a question and answer at the end.
Yes.
And your final thoughts.
Yes.
And so I would like to just kind of go through and have you read the 3 chapters today.
3 chapters.
But we're going to break it down into 3 different segments.
Okay.
So with that being said, let's get to it.
Okay.